Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. This is your weekly tournament rundown show of the biggest and best Warhammer 40,000 tournaments coming up over the weekend. Mega GTs, grand tournaments, regional events, qualifiers, all of it. Welcome to the show. My name is Paul, your host. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
Good eye.
And Dustin Henshaw.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome. We do this each and every week live. We start around 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays. If you're listening to us after the fact, welcome.
Approximately.
I came down the pole ready, suited, ready to go.
Ghostbuster.
Yeah, that's kind of how it went. But we have three great events to talk about this week. We have the Hanseatic Alliance Open, Cascade Clash, and Dreamhack in Atlanta. Welcome to everybody in the live chat. Hope y'all are doing well. See some names: Steve, Joel, Dorian, KR. Great folks. Australia Tabletop Wargaming Network. Is that a name change?
Yep,
Papa?
that's Scotty D.
All right.
Good lad.
Yeah, hope everybody's doing all right. As I mentioned, we have a great live chat community. You can come and join in that if you wish. Sometimes they let us know what's going on at the events we're talking about. Sometimes they just keep us honest when we're talking about rules and stuff. It's great to have them around. Really appreciate it. We also going to give do we have some event shout outs? We do.
We have one event shout out, yeah.
Sweetest Invitation, Stockholm, Sweden, 16 players, 5-round event. And it has all the heavy hitters from Sweden?
Essentially, they're pretty much their entire WTC team, plus probably the 8 guys who just missed out on that team. Very successful team as well. So it should be a very competitive event this year. It's probably one we're going to be looking back on in part 2 of this week's show, which will be coming out midway through next week. And you can go get that goodness over at Warhammer Meta Chasers over on Patreon if you like.
For tier 2 and higher, every tier is great, but tier 2 and higher get you access to a show that we'll talk about later on in this broadcast as well. But we look back, which we don't often do. It's always looking forward as the meta is ever changing. The heartbeat of this game and players trying to pump along with it.
Yeah, we've seen some incredible results over the last kind of fortnight. Last week in particular, the LGT top 10 was spectacular. 0 Astartes, 0 Sisters making the top 10. Whereas stuff like Genestealer Cult, Demons, and Adeptus Mechanicus did make that top 10. So yeah, really, really exciting out there. Pretty much, you say the golden window kind of stuff there, Paul. This is pretty much like a general's meta at the moment, where you don't need to meta chase too hard. As long as you're proficient with what you're on, you can get a great result.
Nice. First event we're going to talk about is in Oldenburg, Germany. 190 players, 8-round event. Another big convention going on there in Germany too. It's a hotbed of gaming. A whole lot of folks doing hobby stuff and game stuff.
I do need to throw a little bit of shade. So currently, it's a really great thing that I scroll down like a 200-player event and maybe 1 or 2 people haven't listed factions. Maybe. 13 didn't list factions in Germany. 13. Do you know how much extra work that was? That's like 15 minutes of my life I can't get back.
That's 26 clicks at least.
At least
exactly
26
right.
clicks.
For shame. Get it together, guys.
Dunkopf.
We're almost there. Surely
That
the efficiency of Germany will not let this stand.
That work that you put in for this show is what we talk about. It's part of it takes a lot of work to put this show together, which is why folks should check out the Patreon.
Yeah, it's pretty much a minimum of 2 hours of work. On a simple week with no team events, it's pretty much always 2 hours work to put all the stats and faction breakdowns and everything and lists breakdowns for you guys. So yeah, if you can support us, please do.
But what are we going to see there, Dustin?
We will be seeing the Imperial Faction. There are 1 Pure Imperial Agents, 8 Sisters of Battle, 5 Custodes, 1 Admech, 13 Astra Militarum, 11 Grey Knights, and 12 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, 7 Adeptus Astartes, 7 Dark Angels, 9 Space Wolves topping it out with 4 Blood Angels and 2 Black Templar. That's crazy. Okay.
Bit of a flip.
Chaos, there's 6 Chaos Space Marines, 5 T-Suns, 9 Death Guard, just out in force now. 8 World Eaters, 8 Demons,
Europe.
and 6 Chaos Knights. True, it's Europe. Xenos, there's 13 Necrons, 11 Orcs, 9 Tau, 12 Votan. What? Okay.
Yeah, Votan getting some amazing numbers here.
What the heck? Okay. Hive Mind, there's 7 Tyranids and 6 G-Slickle. What is going on?
It's churning, baby. The meta is
What is
churning. People
going
are catching on.
Eldari, there's 6 Drukhari and 3 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Astra Militarum and Necrons tied in first with 13. Votan and Imperial Knights tied in second with 12. Orcs and Grey Knights tied in third with 11. Space Wolves, Tau, and Death Guard with 9 after that. And then World Eaters, Demons, and Sisters behind that with 8. Oh my god! This is beautiful!
I love it. I love it. It's a work of art. It's an absolute work of art.
It might be better if we do the other 13 factions.
So didn't a high-profile player take Gene Stealer Cult recently?
Ennis Wilson did.
Yes, to the top 10. He made it to the Shadow Round. I think he lost in the Shadow Round versus the Tiger Shark Tau list, if I remember correctly. I can't remember if it was he that lost to it or it was David Gaylord's guard that lost to it, but I think it might have knocked them both out as well.
So Dustin, you keep your ear to the ground, obviously, as the noted most reputable Gene Stealer Cult player that I know.
I see what you did there.
But yeah, they're starting to catch steam. Death Guard as well, the world over, is also starting to catch steam. They won they were the top placed faction from a very large team event last week as well. And I didn't think Death Guard had it in them to get big differentials because that was a 20-0 system event. So I wouldn't have thought they could push the differentials like that. But they're starting to pick up a lot of steam as well.
It is down to, I'm sure, mastery and also list choices like that list that we're talking about. We talked about it in part 2 from last week. Looks a lot different than a lot of the other lists out there. So have to imagine that some of that tech and innovation is starting to creep up in these other factions like Gene Stealer Cults, like Adeptus Mechanicus, to push them into the winner's bracket.
So we kind of have 3 flavors of shooty daka lists at the moment. We have Tau, which is probably the chocolate ice cream. We have Astra Militarum, which is probably the strawberry ice cream. And then we have Votan, which is straight up vanilla ice cream, like in your Napolitana, ice cream tub. So many people are starting to realize a vanilla ice cream is still delicious. And Votan is really, really starting to pick up steam. It's the most face up, honest 40k army in the game at the moment, I believe.
Votan?
Really? Votan, yeah. Trixie, there's not much they can do Trixie wise. There's not many gimmicks. There's not many skews.
Yeah, they got their tokens, the judgment tokens, and
they get angry at you. Like
they just get angrier. They just get like slightly more angry as the game goes on. The grudges be grudging. But essentially, like once you've played a Votan list once, you pretty much know everything Votan can do to you. Whereas things like Drukhari, hell, things like Death Guard are still pulling tricks out of the bag. Like we're seeing stuff like Solo Typhus starting to make it into a bunch of different lists where he just comes down, bombs an objective, gets a secondary, stuff like that. Still tricks are getting pulled out of the bag. Whereas Votan, people just seem to be just enjoying chugging along, playing straight line 40k, which I think is awesome.
I miss all the players that were just focused purely on Votan because I think they actually have a lot of play with them. And I remember I think it was the first Votan player I ever played at the tournament actually had a physical grudge book that he was writing down his grudges in. And I am proud to say I am the second grudge in there, only to his dice that were number 1.
See, if I had that book of grudges, I would just be writing down my own units.
It's true.
Turn to Land Fortress, failed to kill Rhino.
Yeah. Remember when we needed that one extra wound?
Yeah. You muppet. But anyway, this faction podium is fantastic. I've pulled out one of the WTC Team Germany members lists. There are many of the WTC Team Germany in attendance here, but I think we need to get the ITC rankings a little bit differentiated. I don't think it's fair that the UK has their own tab in the ITC rankings, and then Europe has its own tab in the ITC rankings, and they're the same tab. They're the same thing. It's just UK and Europe as all. So there wasn't a single German player in the top 20, I believe, of the European rankings, which I believe should be from France to the right of the map, and just leave the UK for the UK. But so I had to turn to the guys who represented Team Germany at the WTC, and a lot of them were playing Space Wolves. There was quite a few Space Wolves players there. I didn't pull those lists out because they're exactly what you think they are. They are Thundercav, Stormlance, go hard, no breaks. So I pulled out Caillou Aurelians, Tyranny's list, and I will hand pass this over to Dusty to unpack.
With this down to the list, we have a Swarm Lord in the Synaptic. That's interesting. A Hive Tyrant with Synaptic Control, Neuro Tyrant, Biovore, Lictor, Neuro Lictor, 2x1 Pyrovores, 3 Raveners, 3 Zoanthropes, 2 Maliceptors, a Mawloc, 2 Tyrannifexes, which seems to be the go-to
The
now.
thing.
I'm assuming they
Yeah.
have rupture cannons as well.
They do.
Yeah, and psychophage. Ooh.
Yeah, that's literally why I put this list on, because I'm like, I want Dustin to tell me why he's taking a psychophage.
Honestly, it's probably to help the durability of the Tyrannifex because it gives a 6-up feel no pain aura. Like, and it has a decent flamer.
Yeah, exactly. It's an Overwatch threat, so essentially it's a Pyrovore, right? But it's a Pyrovore that also gives like a Canoptic Spider aura to Griblies.
I actually really like its profile for its points. It's only like 90 points, and it has a 5-up feel no pain itself too. So it's a pain to
This is
shift.
from the starter set. This is the model from the starter set.
It is.
Yeah.
Like I've almost never seen it on there, and it's one of the few things that has the assimilation keyword. So we'd see more of them if we saw that detachment, but we don't.
But
the
I had high
6-up
hopes
feel no
for
pain.
detachment.
Yes, so did I.
If they can go back and give the assimilation the same treatment they gave the Vanguard, where they just add a bunch of units, that keyword, I think it could be a gamer.
You mean like
be a
giving the Norn assimilator the assimilation
Yes.
keyword?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I meant.
Wish listing over here.
Wish listing.
We are indeed.
It's a cool little model because it's cheap and it actually could do a lot of supporting, right? OC4, I think, too. So 5-up feel no pain, 9 wounds. Like it's a monster, so it's not easy to shift, and it gives a nice little 6-up feel no pain aura. Which, when you put it on a Tyrannifex, they're a pain to move.
Well, it's a Land Raider with a 6-up feel no pain.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
legitimately.
It's just a Land Raider, mate. We're talking about some Ironstorm goodness right there. But yeah, I think the Tyrannifex. See, I wasn't sold on the Tyrannifexes for quite some time until I realized how neutered or in a very unique damage bracket pretty much all the rest of the ranged output of Tyranids is. It's all really good anti-heavy infantry firepower, but not a lot of it is consistent anti-tank. And so I do think I have come around to the Tyrannifexes since
WTC, the Tyrannifex is by far the best anti-tank we have. And it's not even just the fact... See, I still have trouble putting them in my list because it's only 2 shots. They're going to be hitting
190 points.
It's 190 points for 2 shots. I mean, because it's a threat. You have to respect it. You absolutely have to respect it. But they do less than you think a lot of the time. But when they go off, like it's just okay. Well, transport dead, done.
Yeah.
Like not even no chance, no chance. You fire into something with an invul, no. Ooh, the numbers, man, numbers.
What's the Morlock doing here?
I just love the Morlock. In the Vanguard detachment, I'm running 2 of them in every detachment or every Vanguard list.
2.
It's because you can bring them both up, put them down, bring them up, put them down, and just mortal wounds for everybody. It is actually one of the most disrupting rapid ingress units you can bring in the game right now. Because when it comes in, it does an aura of mortal wounds, everything within 12 inches. It does mortal wounds and can battle shock them too. That can be devastating.
The unit suffers D3 mortal wounds on a 2 through 4, and on a 5+, it suffers 3 mortal wounds
and takes a battle shock.
So that the Moloch is OC4, the Psychophage is OC3. I was checking those out.
Got to keep him honest, Paul.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
that's what we're here for.
Look, we're here for the facts, but those are great utility units. I can see why they are in this list.
It's true.
Yeah, me too. The thing that's missing here for me is gargoyles. Like there's 0 battle line in this. There's no Hormers, no Termagants, no gargoyles, no nothing. There's not even like Reaper Swarms.
Only matters if your opponents have models left on the table.
It's true. It's true. But this list is actually just disturbingly thick. Like if your opponent is playing like single damage increment weapons, they kind of doesn't do anything to this list.
Well, okay. And this I really should mention this too. I really like the Tyrannifex with Rupture Kids in the Synaptic Nexus, specifically because they have the strat to reroll ones to hit and wound. That changes their math a lot. And that makes a big difference.
Yeah. All right. It's time to pick some winners. I will go last.
So what we do now, we predict what faction we think is going to take the top spot, depending on how close we come, 1, 2, or 3. We give ourselves points, and that's one of the things we check on what our predictions were in part 2 of the show.
So we usually have a thing. If any member of the meta trio is unable to present, they usually get a default meme pick put in for him. Dustin would be GSC or Tyranids. Paul would be Blood Angels. I would be Dark Angels, possibly Astra Militarum. For this week, hence it is October. If you are not on the show, you'll be defaulting to Orcs, and that's going to be our little theme of the month.
There we go. October.
Orktober.
We celebrate.
We celebrate October,
We
even
always
if
celebrate.
we don't get any models. Paul, would you like to go first?
Yes, I will.
This is a hard one to pick.
Yeah.
It really
Very
is. Man, do we know what kind of terrain they're running?
Assume
I don't know for
WTC?
sure. I don't know for sure, but you would assume to be WTC. That would be the
Yeah,
assumption.
I'm gonna go Astra Militarum.
Good pick.
Yep.
Dusty boy.
I am actually going to go with Space Wolves.
That was going to be my pick. There's a reason there's a bunch of the WTC guys taking Space Wolves. Ooh.
I think Space Wolves are a great army. I just don't think they're going to close out a field like this.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you can go either way on a bunch of these. I might do something crazy and go Imperial Knights. There's 12 Imperial Knights. One we didn't talk about that is also picking up a lot of steam worldwide is Imperial Knights.
Yep.
They in a team event last weekend, they had 3 in the top 10, 3 Imperial Knights in a team event, which means either they were flat track bullies and just got given just easy matchups. That was your event, by the way, Dustin.
I know.
They just got fed easy old greens. Or there is some brand new spice added to that list due to Imperial Agents that's really starting to turn some matchups.
I bet it is, and finding that right combination with Knights is in chaos on the Chaos and Imperial side. You know, bigs versus littles, and then which ones do you add into your mix for those one special abilities? It's just sometimes tough to pick, but maybe as this is their time to shine. And plus Imperial Agents.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, 100%.
Next event we're going to be talking about is the Cascade Clash in Mount Vernon, Washington, USA. 89 players, 6-round event. What's going to be there?
In the Imperial Super Faction, there are 7 Sisters of Battle, 5 Custodes, 2 Admech, 4 Astra Militarum, 3 Grey Knights, and 2 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 4 Adeptus Astartes, 5 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 4 Blood Angels, and 1 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 1 Chaos Space Marine, 3 T-Suns, 4 Death Guard, 3 World Leaders, 4 Demons, and 5 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 4 Necrons, 3 Orcs, 3 Tau, and 5 Votan again. Hivemind, there's 5 Tyranids. All the Genius They're Called players seem to be in Germany this weekend.
Yep.
Eldari, there's 3 Drukhari and 2 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Adeptus Aromatas, topping it off with 7. The Custodes, Tyranids, Votan, Chaos Knights, and Dark Angels tied in second with 5. Then Necrons, Demons, Death Guard, Blood Angels, Astartes, and Astra Militarum tied in third with 4th. This weekend so far is the best spread of factions and the best meta we have seen.
That's 12 factions on the podium.
That's incredible. Perfection.
I was just counting. I was like, that's a lot of factions.
That's a lot of factions.
Almost half the factions.
Yeah, and it's only in the top 3. We had the same 12 factions, but we did top 5 because if your event is over 150 players, I'll do a top 5 instead of a top 3 for the faction breakdown. But with 12 only in the top 3, it's stupendous. Usually we see 90 players. Usually there's only like 4 or 5 factions on the podium. So this is a great delineation, a great breakdown.
You actually play a different army most rounds. That's what you want. Like the highest representation being 7 and everything else within 2 of each other. Like that's
we say that a lot about how to judge a meta. It's like how often are you to play the top X list in the thing, and usually and sometimes Canoptic Court you're going to have to play him 3 times if you're going to win a 6-round event. If you're going to think you're going to win a 6-round event, you're going to have to go through 3 Canoptic Courts, or Wraith Knight Eldari at the start of the edition. We're similar numbers, but yeah, this is just like such a good meta. I can't wait. I want to see just slight tweaks in some points changes because I'm not sure we need to mix this up too much. The getting's good out there.
Getting me good.
All right, the one list I decided to pull out with Votan having extremely strong numbers this weekend. I pulled out Chuck Arnett, who's a Biff Pod alumni. If you do not know what Biff Pod is, one of the OG competitive 40K podcasts. They have wrapped up as of now, but it's still the crew that puts together Charity Hammer every year and do some phenomenal things for our community. He has got his Oath Band Votan detachment, and I actually really like this list. He's got a single character, single Iron Master with Grim Demeanor, who almost certainly will be joined to the 6th Thunderkin. 10 Hearthguard, 2 Sagittars, 3 units of Berserkers, a unit of 5 and 2 units of 10. Whoa. So actually going to have quite a bit of melee.
That's a lot of Berserkers.
It is. No Hearthguard. No Hearthguard, because that's usually the Terminator equivalent is doing pretty well in the meta at the moment, but he's just skewed that to go for the Berserkers. The 6th Thunderkin, like I mentioned, 2 Land Fortresses, and then 6/6/3 Pioneers. So the missions here is no Jaegers. but it does have like 3 premium scouting units. You could have berserkers in the Sagittars, or it could be split. I'm assuming he's going to split one of the unit of berserkers. So he'll have 3 by 5, 1 by 10 for some matchups, and then split up the Hearthkin in the other one. And yeah, but no Jaegers, but super almost maximum bikes. And I think the bikes are extremely strong at the moment. What do you guys make of it?
I think the bikes are actually really good. This is a very elite vote-in list, because he put heavy into 2 big bricks of berserkers, 2 big bricks of pioneers, which I think the pioneers, like, the bikes are just incredible. I'm hit and miss on the Thunderkin. I feel like they should do a lot.
Yeah. The Thunderkin are the anti-tank annihilation unit in this, because it's funny that the land forts, you'd think they were like a hammerhead or something similar, or a repulsor executioner, but I've actually found that they're a bit anemic into higher toughness things like toughness 11, toughness 12. They can really start to struggle because they don't have a huge amount of AP to wield, even if they go plus to hit plus to wound. And I don't love invulnerable saves very much either. So I love adding the Thunderkin to just be like, yo, you are scrap. Like 2 Thunderkin per Rhino. Just pick them on up, get them out of here. Especially if they've got all the exploding hits and stuff from the stratagem supports. So yeah, I really like the Thunderkin at the moment. Most likely, my assumption is they're starting in reserve. And they'll walk on and just like play like Dev Centurions did in the Vanguard meta of Space Marines. But yeah, I really like the Berserker delineation as well. And taking Berserkers instead of taking Hearthguard will save you a lot of points. My only issue is the Hearthguard in the meta are extremely good because of all the hordes. Because Hearthguard just slaughter a Curse Cultist, just 1 shot, 1 kill, get a full unit of 21 out of here. So he's leaning on the Pioneers to do that instead.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be important because there's a lot of the Cursed Cultist list going on.
But not at this event. It was just pointed out in chat. There's only a single
That's
Chaos
true.
Space Marine at this event. So this might be a Chuck just
read
finger on the pulse, knowing what he needs.
I do kind of see that most of these units are just distractions away from the units we just talked about, the Land Fortress and the Thunderkin.
Great point.
But at the same time, it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. Like you may not even be able to affect the Land Fortresses in some cases. And then you mentioned keeping Thunderkin in reserve. If he gets you playing the game he wants you to play, this list will dominate.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. And great point out about the distractions and the whatnot. I do think that the big test will be going second into something like Space Wolves, like put you in jail, Admech or Tyranids, because it doesn't have the Jaegers to hold the front field for you. So it's possible he knows he doesn't need them, doesn't have the models, or decided not to take them. But yeah, that's the only thing in here that I'm like, this would be perfect if they had. Apart from that, I think it's fantastic. All right, time to pick us some winners.
Yeah.
Dustin, take it away.
Me pick first? Where are we? We are in Washington, eh?
Yep. With 12 factions on the podium. So
yeah.
throw a dart, brother.
Throw a dart. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to go with Sisters. Let's do Sisters.
Take the numbers. You go with Sisters.
Yeah.
What would you like, Saul?
Sometimes you get it with the weight of numbers. I'm going to say, because this is pre going Blood Angels.
Just lean on in. How many Blood Angels were there? They were on the podium, weren't they?
There were 4 or 5?
Yeah,
I mean, all the factions are on the podium. I don't know if that's
true. That's true. That's true. Custodians actually have wild numbers here, but I'm probably going to go the Guard. I'm going to go Astral Time.
I was thinking about going on Guard.
Yeah, me too. Looking at that podium, there's only a couple there that I think Guards struggle into. But then again, Necrons also are very good into this field as well. I'm very surprised by the Chaos. I should have mentioned before, Chaos Knights getting second place on a podium in the current state of the game is pretty rare. So that's awesome to see.
We love seeing it, though.
Next event we're going to talk about is the DreamHack event in Atlanta. Funny story. That's although I was not planning on being here this weekend, so I did not make plans to go. Enough about that. I'm definitely going to be checking in on some of my buddies that are there and looking forward to hearing how they do. But we're covering the team event. There's actually a couple events there, but 112 players into 14 teams of 8 over 5 rounds. So in a team event, we're going to run down some of the factions. We're going to talk about a team, and then how we pick our winners for this is a little bit different, but I'll save that pizzazz for the for the last part.
Yeah, don't waste the pizzazz ball.
Don't waste the pizzazz, not the pizzazz.
Well, faction-wise, what are we going to see there?
Faction-wise, we're going to be seeing of the Imperial Super Faction, there are 11 Sisters of Battle. That is only 3 teams that didn't take Sisters of Battle. 2 Custodes, 4 Admech, 10 Astra Militarum, 6 Grey Knights, and 2 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 3 Adeptus Astartes, 6 Dark Angels, 1 Space Wolf, and 1 Black Templar, which means there's still 3 teams that didn't take Space Marines.
Yep.
Chaos, there's 11 Chaos Space Marines, 10 T-Suns, 3 Death Guard, 2 World Leaders, and 3 Demons. Xenos, there's 9 Necrons, 3 Orcs, 7 Tau, 4 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 3 Tyranids, and 5 Genius of the Cult. Genius of the Cult outnumber the Tyranids at this event.
First time since Index 10th edition that I've denoted GSC being higher than Tyranids. That's the first time. Yeah, the tide is turning.
The tide is turning. Eldari, there's 4 Drukhari and 2 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Astartes, Sisters, and Chaos Space Marines at 11, so there's only 3 teams that didn't take it. Those factions, well, one of those factions each. T-Suns, Astra Militarum at 10, and then Necrons at 9. Is this really surprising for the meta?
Nah.
I think this is pretty standard.
This is exactly what I would have assumed, and hence where all the CSM players went from Washington.
Yes, exactly.
There's only one over there. The other 11 of them decided to head over to Atlanta. Really good numbers here for Astra Militarum as a battle. Like I said, no surprises. It's actually less Astartes than we would usually see. Usually Astartes would be almost 100% taken in 8-player teams. So a couple less than we assumed there. Drukhari doubling out the Eldari numbers also. So 4-2 there is another big one where we're starting to see the tide turn there. Drukhari just being assumed to offer a little bit more in teams, whereas they have the, put them in jail strat with the beast packs that Eldari just cannot replicate. You can kind of do something similar with warp spiders, but they will die to Overwatch from just about anything, whereas beast packs do not give a crap and will just cop a couple of flamers, no problem.
When you get any help in your matchup, your toughness 3 goes a lot farther.
Yeah, 100%. Good numbers for Tau, 7 Tau here. Bit low on the Votan side compared to the other 2 events, only 4 Votan. But yeah, when the chips were down, people in teams leaned heavily on the Astra Militarum for the DACA over both Tau and Votan, which makes a lot of sense. Pretty low on the World Eaters numbers. I was surprised to see. World Eaters are usually pretty heavily taken on that side of the states, as far as I can remember.
In teams too, because thing. When you can pick your matchup and possibly your table, then you get your assault armies have a higher win percentage, in my experience.
It's true. Yeah. I've actually been finding too that the problem with World Leaders right now is that there's a lot of people that are taking anti-melee factions.
Yes,
which we know
Death Guard.
That's
Death
Guard.
Biggest reason
first all the time.
Yeah, it's a problem for World Leaders, right? Like they're going to struggle in those kind of matchups. Even if you get to pick your matchup, then you're the list that that has to be protected. Otherwise, you're not going to score as well, right? So
when the 100% melee faction starts struggling with melee matchups, where do they go?
Right.
What do you do?
Forge Fiends.
And this is the reason I assumed. Yeah, we're seeing Forge Fiends. We're seeing Terminator bricks because they will survive stuff like 6 Inner Circle companions with the Judicia fighting them. They'll fight on death, kill a couple, then they'll have like 4 or 5 guys left, and then they'll fight and they'll kill the rest. So they're starting to see the spread. It's not just like Zerkers and Rhinos and 8-bound. Sorry, Paul.
But a slight addition to that is like once you start changing the list fundamentally that much, are you better off on another faction for this event?
Yeah, spot on, brother. And that
may be where they're thinking.
That's exactly right. It might have been where they all went. Anyway, I pulled out one team, one full 8-pack team for your delineation, and of course, I'm an Art of War stan. And when I see a team that is this stacked, similar to Champions Cup, where there was just one, the stat check team was just so stacked, I had to go and see what they're doing. There are legitimately like 3 other teams that will definitely give Art of War a run for their money, and probably another 2 or 3 that like can play for a draw because they're just that good. But there are some very good teams here. But this one is ridiculous, and we're going to break it down for your viewing pleasure. This is the entirety of these lists. I left no units out, but it was all done in shorthand. So forgive me for that if you don't quite understand it, but it should be pretty interpretable. So first up, we have a Leagues of Votan Oathband, 2 Ironhead Champions, 2x10 Hearthkin, 2 Sagittars, 2x5 Hearthguard, 2 Land Fortresses, 3x3 Pioneers, and 10 Jaegers. So very much an all-comers version of the Votann. Then we have an Astra Militarum combined regiment, Lord Solar, Platoon Command Squad, a Tank Commander, 10 Death Corps of Krieg to be joined by Lord Solar and Platoon Command Squad. And that's it for Battle Line, nothing else. 3 Armored Sentinels, which I'm very much coming around to. 1 squad of 3. Yep. And they can be re-racked for 2 CP.
Yeah, regiment.
So they're 7 wounds with toughness 8 and a 2-up save. They are hard to kill, and they're not that threatening. They're pretty much like the drop pod of this edition, where you're like, I don't want to have to kill that, but I think he's going to make me try and have to kill it. Then we've got 3x6 Bullgrims.
Well, they can choke a base. They're all on those big old bases and stuff. An objective is what I mean.
They're 2 OC each. They can be ordered to be 3 OC each. So you can make it 9 OC. So, no 5 guys. And then if they just kill 1 dude versus if in your 2 OC 5-man squad, they'll flip an objective for you, which they're odds on to do. Maximum Bullgrim, a single Hellhound, 3 Lehman Russ battle tanks, and a single Lehman Russ exterminator.
So it has the ability to.
That is Jack Harpster.
Really?
Yeah, so you can deny cover with the Hellhound. So the AP1 on the Lehman Russ battle tanks isn't awful, and then the Lehman Russ exterminator can add another AP, and then Lord Solar and the Platoon Command Squad has a mortar, so it can add another AP. So you can have AP3 ignore cover Lehman Russ battle tanks with 4 rerolls to hit if you're on an objective. So that's the combo there. And then it's just got a meat shield of all meat shields in 18 Bullgrim and 3 Armored Sentinels. We have 1,000 Suns Cult of Magic, which is pretty standard. Ahriman, Magnus, 2 Exalted Sorcerers, only a single Infernal Master, which I suppose is the only real switch up there. 1 unit of 10 and 3 units of 5 rubrics that have a single Rhino, 3x3 Enlightened, so 3 good utility units, and then 2 Vortex Beasties of the Mutilative variety. Then we have the Spice. Here we go. Gene Stealer Cults, Host of Ascension. This is Nick Nanavati playing this, which is interesting to see him back on the GSC. He has a single Primus. So you have like Kelamos, you have Reductus Saboteurs, extremely good, well-pointed lone ops that bring jank and goodness. Not single Primus. 5 Acolytes with pistols, 4 units of 5 Acolytes with hand flamers, 10, 10, 20 Neophytes, 5 Gene Stealers, 5 Jackals, 2 Goliath trucks, maximum Ridge Runners, 3x2 Ridge Runners, and 3 Rock Grinders to add another punch of damage output. Then we have a Bringers of Flame, of Adeptus Sororitas, Canoness with Jump Pack, Dialogus, Triumph, and Morven Vile, 3 Immolators, 3 Castigators, 30 Dominions, 3 Paragons, and 10 Seraphim. Just as straight across the line as you could get. Just as good stuff. Then we have Adeptus Mechanicus. Interesting to see Siegler back out there rumbling in the mix. Interested to see what he'll do with his Skitarii Hunter cohort. 3 Marshals, 10 Rangers, 30 Vanguard, 2 transports in the Dune Riders, 5-5-10 Skystalker Birdie Boys, 5-5-10 Infiltrators, so 10 Infiltrators, and then 10 Ruststalkers, 3 Scorpius Disintegrators for against the Predator, battle tank we've been talking about, just kind of taking off. That kind of vehicle is really taking off in the meta at the moment. And then a Calidus Assassin.
That is indirect fire too, if I remember right. Does it?
I don't think he took the indirect. One of the guns can be taken.
Yeah, but people have been thinking the anti-tank gun,
the last cannon.
The last cannon one,
is one is how I think about it. Yeah. Then you've got Space Marines Renegade Raiders, not the accursed cultist variety. This is a Baton, 2 Chaos Lords, 10 cultists, 4 units of 5 legionaries, 2 rhinos, 3 predator destructors. Like I said, this chassis, this type of tank is everywhere. Castigators, predator destructors, disintegrators, everything. 5 chosen, a single Hellbrute, 10 warp talents to be spicy and annoying. And then lastly, Dark Angels Gladius Task Force, not played by John Lennon. Apothecary Biologus Azrael, Gravis Captain, who has Artificer armor, and I actually freaking love that. I'll unpack that in a second. A Judicia, 5 Assault Intercessors, 3x5 Jump Back Intercessors, 15 Deathwing Knights, of course, 6 Eradicators, 6 Inner Circle Companions to get the Judicia, a Repulsor to tote around the Eradicators and the Apothecary, and single unit of 5 Scouts. And that is the APAC, and that was a lot of words.
Literally every single unit you just read out for that entire.
I did just read out every single unit,
I
tried to do it.
I applaud you. That was.
I tried to do it slow enough.
Either.
I could have gone a lot faster.
I know you could have, and thank you for not doing that.
What do you guys make of this 8-pack? Because I look at this 8-pack and I think it's almost perfect. There are some things you could say could be swapped out depending if you had the player or not. Like I said to Dustin in the green room, the GSC could easily be Tyranids for a similar effect. There is no World Eaters in this list, in this lineup. There's none of the Knight varieties in this lineup. And there was one other omission. Never mind. What do you guys make of it? It's very thick.
So knowing what we know about the players and the team, we know we can therefore extrapolate that these are all very intentional choices, responses to what they think they're going to be facing against other teams out there, what other teams would normally bring, and what's going to give them some type of advantage in the pairings process. In these team tournaments, you are trying to put out lists that allow people to match up against and create situations for people that are hard for them to battle into or battle out of.
Yeah, the pairings chess match is big here. They're taking two factions that are obscure, lesser known still, and played by extremely good players. We saw this similar effect wielded by Poland when Poland decided to take Adeptus Mechanicus, where Adeptus Mechanicus was a fringe faction. They've doubled down and done it twice. They've taken GSC and they've taken Adeptus Mechanicus, things that top players play at a certain level. And unless you have a Dustin, unless you have a Rickard Nielsen, who's one of the best AdMac players in the world in your local meta, you can't really go out and experience what those lists are likely to do against you relatively. And so they're bringing a lot of unknown here. They're twisting that, like, we know what this does probably better than you know what it does. And so we're going to gain advantage in the pairings. Like, what you think is going to happen is not likely to be the thing that does happen. So perfectly said, Paul. What do we think about the Chaos Space Marines? So no accursed cultists in that Chaos Space Marines list. So that is an interesting take. This is Russell Tassin, who's much more accustomed to this kind of play style than the Accursed Cultist. Like, this is definitely his wheelhouse. Like, he's famous for the single Hellbrute. Like, this dude just will not take his freaking Hellbrute.
You got to get that dark pack.
Double packed, double packed on triple preds, so lethals and sustained on the triple preds.
And this takes advantage of cover too. Like, everything's on, like, it's a bunch of power on, a little box, and they can hang out behind the cover, then scoot out, do its damage, and hopefully eliminate everything they can get to hit.
Well, here we go. We're talking about a list that has, so we got the Ashtamil Time list that's taking 4 premium battle tanks. We've got the Adeptus Mechanica list taking a couple of premium battle tanks. We have the Chaos Space Marines taking some premium battle tanks. This chassis is taking over. We have the Adeptus Sororitas taking 3 premium battle tanks. And I'm saying battle tank for your, not like one tier down from Rogal Dawn or Land Raider, a Repulsive Executioner chassis gun tank. If that makes sense.
You're also talking about what for 30 years was the battle tank.
It was. This was like the Predator was the equivalent of the Lehman Russ, was the equivalent. Now we've got the Cascader in the mix, the Disintegrators in the mix, but they're taking a lot of that chassis of that type of tank.
Bridge Runners and Rock Grinders. That's my jam.
That's about exactly right. And there's the secret one that's actually the same as well.
It is.
So they've got
2 Ridge Runners is the equivalent of like 1 Predator. Points wise and damage output.
And then a Rock Grinder is like a Battle Wagon and a Castigator had a baby. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I've been liking it with the Mining Laser lately because I have enough flavors. But
if I can summarize, they present an interesting toughness to wounds to save characteristic, stat line for people to solve across a group of 8 armies.
And then there's Vortex Beast as well, which is literally T-Sun's putting like a wonky Predator in their list.
And Magnus. He's like 2 Predators.
Wow, they've done it. They've done it every list. We cracked the meta. We cracked it. They just think this chassis is going to carry them.
Take
nothing.
Minimum 3 battle tanks every list. You're good to go. There you go. Yeah. That's how every list
3 battle
starts.
tanks.
What is your battle tank? Put 3 of them in there. Done.
Well, you say literally. That though. If you have the tools in your list to function and cross most of the games that you're going to encounter, you have easier games to play.
Yeah.
And so the.
Oh, I think he was
going in.
He was
making a good point.
Oh no, he was making a good point, and then he lost.
He was making a good point.
He just disappeared. Oh, maybe back now. Continue with your point, Paul.
Oh, that if your list carries you through at least a couple of games, then your brain has to do less heavy lifting. That's basically across the coast of the weekend.
I love how you picked it up without even like missing a beat. Like, you knew exactly where you were. Can you hear Adam? Because Adam can't hear you. And now Adam's gonna disconnect. Everybody's just disconnecting here except for me. I'm gonna stick around and hold this whole show together with my bare hands, spit and duct tape.
All right, I just hit a quick refresh, so maybe I could hear Paul.
Okay, we're back.
I I think we're good.
Okay.
But anyway, going down this, it's almost like the Art of War boys sat in a room together and they were just like, let's all take tanks. Because they all did. Land forts, Lehman Russes, Mutaliths, Rock Grinders and Ridge Runners, Immolators and Castigators, Dune Riders and Disintegrators,
Vortex Beast and Primarchs.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny that the Dark Angels Gladius has the least amount of vehicle.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, they have Deathwing Knights.
They're pretty much vehicles.
They're pretty much battle tanks.
It's true.
And for that pizzazz I was talking about earlier in the show is that we don't pick the best team or maybe the winning faction. What we pick for team tournaments is the faction that scores the highest battle points. Since this is a very complex event, all team events are slightly more complex. We like to mix it up a little bit and pick the faction we think is going to come away with the highest amount of battle points over the course of the weekend. Some player with the most battle points might be on the worst placement team because it doesn't always, it hasn't worked out that way that much in this edition. But there's a lot of things while we're making these predictions, try to figure out in our minds.
So I'm going to go first in this one because I haven't gone first today. I'm going to go Astra Militarum on my pick. Already chucked that one in. Paul, would you like to go next?
I'm taking Adeptus Mechanicus.
Ooh, good shout. Good pick, mate. And Dusty?
I'll take Dark Angels.
Do we give you with 5 GSC, the most GSC, the mostest GSC?
You have any idea how hard it is for me to not pick GSC right now? Because I told you the last one. I told you the last one. GSC are not a differential army, at least the one that it has been taking. However, the Host of Ascension list can be a differential list. It absolutely can be.
My issue with exactly right. My issue with GSC is that if you've got a competent player, unless they fall asleep, your opponent can't get a 20.
Yeah.
Like you probably you can get 2 or 3 points off GSC pretty reliably.
GSC
like, even if you're getting smashed.
I honestly in teams GSC I think is one of the most reliable scorers in the game.
Yeah. KR Quinn put in his prediction, which I'm going to add in.
Okay.
KR Quinn has picked T-Suns. So here we go. KR Quinn.
Here we go.
T-Suns.
All right. Done.
We'll see.
Nice. I'll let you know how we did in part 2. And speaking of part 2, this is where we would say, hey, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit those buttons. If you made it this far in the show, you probably like the show and you probably want to know when we're doing the next one. So make sure to subscribe, click those thumbs up, leave a comments, leave the 5-star reviews if you are listening to us on the podcast aggregators, because that's how other folks, basically the algorithms learn that people like this and should come and listen to it and or watch it. And we appreciate that part of engagement. It's a hassle-free way to interact and support the show, even if the Patreon is not the right for you at this time. This is the part of the show, though, where we have a little palate cleanser. We, get to a segment we call the Fuego Rapido, where we give ourselves a series of topics and a clock. And once the topic comes up on the screen, we've got a certain amount of time to pontificate or alliterate upon it. And once that clock is stopped, we abandon the topic, never to return to it again. Sometimes those themes have, these segments have themes. This one is what TOs would like to know.
This is questions that I think a lot of TOs would like to know, and I'm one of them because I'm curious. I want to know what you guys think about a lot of these things.
Taking notes, a little self-help.
A little self-help. This is a self-help program sometimes.
Crowdsourcing.
Canvassing the area. And I want you guys to chime in on this too, because we make these
right now. The internet's in a state to where you can't ask a question. You can't ask for help. You just have to state the correct you.
It's funny because it's true, and a little sad because it's true.
But so anyway, this is a little palate cleansing segment. Sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with 40K, and there's no telling if this will or not based on what we say. But it's a fun way to close this out after we've been talking about the hard stats, the crunchy stuff. This is how we wrap up the show if you're new around here.
All right, so let's have a look. See, it is, as Paul said, what TOs would like to know. So, first one is, how long for lunch and in between rounds?
I like an hour for lunch and 20 minutes to 30 minutes between rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say an hour and a half of lunch and 15 minutes.
I figured Paul would say longer. Wait, how long between rounds? 15?
15 minutes, yeah.
Oof. That's tight. That's tight.
Just play faster.
Well,
If you get your game done.
Well, you should be done and packed up, right? There's so many times that people run overtime, right?
Yeah.
Not on the clock, and like that's. But is that something that we need to? Is it more like enforcing the actual round time, like dice down? Would that make it easier? On your perspective, Adam.
If you are publishing times, you should have a wrap-up procedure in mind.
So, sorry, Dustin, what's the question?
I was saying, like, because you want a longer period in between rounds, right? So is it something that can be solved from just like harder dice down timings, or like a wrap up, like Paul was saying, or is that something that can be solved so you don't need as much time in between? Like, why do you think you need so much time in between?
Well, I want time between rounds because I like to chat. I like the community. I like to see how my mates did in their game. I like to go get a drink and talk some crap because I attend my events just as much to hang out with my mates and see the community as I do for competitive juices. I like an hour. So I was going to ask Paul, what do you do? What's the extra 30 minutes in lunch for? Is that because in case you need to leave the venue to go get food, it's a lot easier with 90 minutes?
All that social time you're talking about. I think around you do that around whatever table you're sitting at, eating at, or if you do need to travel somewhere to go out, deal with a line of 100 people trying to get to the same fast food place all at one time, or maybe the best burger joint is a little bit further away from the event.
I see.
There,
of course, the best burger joint. Yeah.
This answer makes sense.
Yeah, now we get it.
Paul's got boxes to tick, places to pick.
Got to ask
people. Got to experience the local culture.
That's right. Yeah. It's true. Lunch is the to do it too. All right, next up. Lunch included or a cheaper ticket price? See, this is one that actually I flip-flop on because I like including lunch. I like having it like convenient for everybody, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that won't want to have the food you have. We might not be able to provide the food that they can eat, or they just would prefer to have a cheaper ticket. And you're forcing them to pay for something they might not eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the lunch included thing, the social thing. Come down and sit down. Everybody's gonna have lunch. You're gonna be eating, and then we're gonna get back. We're all gonna be doing that. Actually, it was a big thing, but it's not for every event.
Yeah,
like it's it just isn't, and not even feasible for maybe some organizers or for some facilities to do. I think, but on the ticket price, I think the ticket price should be reflective of what the risk and stuff the organizer is. That's a difficult thing to kind of nail down to say what it should be.
So I think in a perfect world, there is lunch provided. I think in a perfect world, there's a lunch provided and there's a big hall for every player to go sit down, hang out with their mates, mix in the community. I love that stuff. I think the vast majority of the time, it's not worth it, unfortunately, because TOs already have a huge amount of stuff to organize and juggle and expenditure and risk, financial risk. Whereas, so here's the thing in Australia, right? Because everyone in Australia is at events to drink as much as they are to play. Keeping people in the venue to eat actually makes more money for the venues most of the time, because every bloke wants a pint with his lunch, and so they'll make money on so if the only times I think you should always do it is if it makes it cheaper for the venue and for the TO. If it actually lowers the costs to keep people there and offset, like when you as a negotiating tactic, like, well, what if we put on lunch for you and we keep everyone here? So instead of going to a bar down the road around the corner, or
how about we commit to the F&B total and you give us the hall for free?
That's exactly right. Yeah. If I can commit to getting 100 dudes to eat lunch at in your pub, a club, whatever it may be, give us the venue for free. Because they'll look at that and be like, well, they're buying lunch, they're going to buy drinks. Probably going to buy a lot of drinks, and bada bing, bada boom. We got a deal, baby.
That makes sense.
I just don't know. So the price of the ticket doesn't always necessarily have to have an upside to it, other than making sure you choose to whether to go to that event or not.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think KR's got a great point here, though. I think food trucks are the future.
Food trucks, if you can.
You ask your players, there's this food trucks in the area. Which ones do I give a call to? And you're like, I want the tacos.
Dude, we're out of run, especially with the food truck industry. I know we're out of time, but Booming or whatever,
we're getting a lot of good info here.
Would absolutely be calling food trucks and saying, "Hey, going to have, is it worth it to you? What do you need? What kind of commitment do you need to get out here with your taco stand?"
I'll go one step further. Coffee truck as well, just for the morning. before round one coffee truck will make $1 million.
We provided free coffee and tea for the whole venue the whole time over there. So
maniacs.
And we had lunch provided. We had a poutine bar the one day, and we had an Asian noodle bar the second day. Let's flip that around, but those are the 2 days.
Yeah.
All right. Next up.
Fuego.
That was way over Fuego. That was good. That was good.
Oh, we're talking about food. And,
we're talking about food. I know what I get myself into when we talk about food.
And negotiating with hotels. I could write a book on both those two things, I think.
Okay. Product prizes or just unique trophies and medals?
Man, nobody needs another pack of dire wolves or whatever.
Right? That's what I always think too. I do tend to give like product stuff for some of the like door prizes if we have like some sponsors, or maybe we'll have like if we have like raffles. So you have like these are the things you can win. Everybody gets a certain amount of tickets, and you put it in whatever one you want to win, kind of thing. So that way you get the choose.
I'm exactly for you, Dustin. I think raffles is product and door prizes, and maybe like last place hilariously give them some better dice and stuff like that.
We gave them the Skaven Tide box.
Here's another game.
Here's another game. We'll play that.
This one ain't working. I like that. But I love unique trophies. I love all the new 3D printed trophies. Like a mate of mine just got a full size chainsword for winning an event. That stuff is freaking sick. And vouchers is if you don't want to give away product because you think product lame, give vouchers. And do you know the best prizes ever? Novelty sized vouchers. Like just like the golf checks. When they golf, they got like 2 dudes have to be holding up this check. Like the guy who won it and the caddy have to hold up the check. It's so big. Those are hilarious in 40K. Give those away.
Product is cool, by the way. I don't want to say this, but it's just hard to find like the right winner to give the right product to. That's something that they need, and that's why it's just
the one that always gets me. Giving paint prizes to best painted winners.
That's why
funniest one.
I always pick the least painted team and I give them the paints.
Congratulations, you're obviously good at this and have a lot of paints. Here are some more for you to have doubles of. That one never makes any sense to me.
Or like what if we for like best painted award, we'll give them the trophy, but it won't be painted. So here you go.
That's good. That is good. All right, I think we solved that one.
We solved that one. All right, next up. For 6-round events, 2-2-2, 4-2, or 3-3, and then not humoring any other thing, other than the breakdown of how you break the rounds out.
I'm old. I'm sleepy. 2-2-2.
Whoa! So you take the Friday, eh?
I love 2 games a day. 2 games a day is my premium gaming experience at this deep into my 40K life. 2 games a day, baby. 2-hour lunch.
How about 1, 3, and 2?
What?
You're a maniac. That's what? So a late afternoon, an early evening game.
Yeah, for
on
Friday.
The Friday. Oh yeah.
Check in at 7. Play till 10.
Yeah, play till 10. Yeah. Like come to the venue, have dinner. Like play your game, have a couple of drinks, go home. I actually don't mind that. That's actually not crazy to me.
That's not bad. Because you're already at that point. I guess depending on how far you have to travel, you're probably committed. You're probably going to be there at that time anyway, right?
Exactly right. If you're traveling,
equation for some people, time off work, extra hotel night. Those are all types of things that have to consider. So I threw that out there just as a gaffe. I think that.
I actually think it's a great idea.
I don't hate it. I'm
me either.
pretty sure one of the events around here did try to do that once, but everybody freaked out. So
okay,
that's why they're like, I kind of liked it.
But if you built a theme around it, like we're gonna here's a welcome. We're gonna welcome everybody at 5. We're gonna get everybody checked in. The game starts at 6:30. We're done by 9:30. Hang out at the hotel.
I think so. What I would like to have. Because I think 3-3 is almost certainly going to be the thing that goes forward because it just makes the most sense. It's the least burden on the player base or the customer from the TO point of view. But I want to see it become more acceptable to have like top cut for round 6, as in like top 16, top 8, top whatever for round 6, or even just like the only people who have to play round 6. And you just end the thing on round 6. People can play a game if they want in round 6, but to have round 6 just be people playing for podium positions, like 1-2 versus 3-4 or whatever your system may be, and then everyone else, if you want to be paired, come in, put your name up at the end of round 5. We'll pair you into an applicable player, etc., etc. So yeah, I think that should be a more acceptable thing, because it is the third game on the Sunday is like the robbing all the family time, all the other time away from people. It's like the whole weekend just completely deleted.
Which is crazy, because I'm hearing a lot of guys in the chat saying that 4 in one day is crazy, and that's the norm up here. Like a lot of them are 4.
That isn't the norm. We've done it down here in this area several, like, a couple 20 years ago, and then that like fell off real quick.
Yeah.
Fuego.
So fuego.
We went over on that one too.
Yeah, man.
We could talk about tournament formats.
It's true. This is all good information, though. Send every TO to watch this fuego.
Yeah.
All right, this is an important one. The absolute closest a data slate could ever be to an event and still be included for teams and singles, because that will probably be different.
Pull the Band-Aid off, you cowards.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Of course.
I knew you were going to say that.
Be flexible with what you allow for modeling, because you have to let people, because that's the thing. It's like, oh, I didn't paint my models. Well, listen, you borrowed that stuff anyway. Go borrow more stuff. I mean, of course, I'm not. That's not a catch-all statement. I know a lot of people do. We play a very hobby-centric thing, and people want to use the models they use. But at the same time, if they're making changes for efficiency, like let's move on. The game has moved. Nobody wants to be playing with yesterday's meta.
Yeah, exactly right. No one wants no TO wants their event to be invalidated in the eyes of the community.
No,
because I have had that happen. I've gone to events where it's been the S tier broke-ass, list has been nerfed effective at the time of the event, but we're playing in an older meta, and so everyone's like, why do I still have to play against this nonsense? Why am I getting steamrolled by this, whatever it may be? And it feels bad. Like it generally is a bad feeling. But I think the reasonable, so we know now the community, Games Workshop doesn't release their data slates on a set week of a month. It's free, a bit more free form. They try and work it around some big events to harvest more data. We should be encouraging of that. It means they do a better job, but we don't get as much consistency. So I think it's in totality a way better system for them to be like, well, if we wait one more week, we get all the LGT data, for example, which might be what is happening right now. Or Warzone Tampa, whatever it is. Sorry, not Warzone. You know what I mean. So I think we should always set for it's Wednesday midnight is when they always drop. Every time that one drops, it's a Wednesday midnight release, as what I can remember, in Eastern Standard Time, give or take. So it should just be the cutoff the Thursday morning for singles. I think it's the Thursday week before. So that means there's like 9 days before the event. And then you could push your list sub back if the list sub was going to be on the Friday and the slate comes out, push it back to the Sunday, be a bit more flexible. For team events, I genuinely think 2 week buffer, because you want to have so the Wednesday fortnight before the event should be the timeline for me. But then there's some bigger events. There's some things like WTCs, and there's things like ATCs, and there's some of the team championships in Australia where usually you submit your lists sometimes 3 weeks out. Sometimes, WTC has had almost 1 month or 2 month cutoffs for rules at times. So there is stuff like
cognizant of the time. I want to be real clear too, is like the tournament organizers, they are the masters of their own environment and have all the risk involved with their players and stuff. So don't let my comments invalidate that. Like, it's a decision you've got to make. But I do believe that the quicker you adapt this stuff, and if we really analyze what would be functionally holding that back, it will often link back to whether or not a player has the models they want to use or have to change something or whatever. And if the organizers are collaborative with those players to find creative solutions, then I think they get to adapt the data slate faster than maybe what they're.
It does actually depend a little bit on how much the data slate changed the meta as well, right?
Yeah. Like if it completely invalidates a submitted list, like a submitted list is now illegal or something, 100% the player and the TO should work together to make it as amicable as possible. Maybe in that case, like you say, just play with unpainted models, mate. You'll still get your 10 points because that's the only thing we can do to make this okay. Things like that should also be on the table.
Maybe those Dire Avengers are guardians, tell your opponent.
Exactly right.
Whoa. Easy.
Whoa.
Easy there.
You mean a guy, a small infantry model with the same gun is a different guy?
It's not the same gun. It's an Avenger Shuriken catapult.
It's the same gun.
I'm just saying we could be creative, but again, that risk of the tournament organizer, if your community would not support that, then don't allow it. That's the kind of stuff that
and
I think is still very important.
The last point I'll make on this is that I've had this happen quite a few times in events that I've gone to, and almost always before the event, there will be feel bads. There'll just be people who are just like, oh man, I feel so bad that my list had to change so much and it's screwed and all this stuff, and what a mess. Very few times have I ever heard that same player who was heavily impacted by the changes have the same after the event. Usually after the event, they're like, it was probably for the best. That's fine. It's good, blah, 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 blah. So, we can be very passionate and reactionary to some of these changes in the moment, but usually, post-event or during event, most people are just like, yeah, it was probably for the best. Like, it's totally fine.
Yeah. I like it.
This I don't know what you hit on some gold.
I hit some gold here, man. This was
we could have gone 5 minutes on each of these.
We could have easily. I don't know.
We could still be going on the first one right now.
We could.
Yeah.
We easily could. We could still be going on all of them. I don't know. Do we still want to do the meme theme this week? I think we covered a lot.
I mean,
if you got it. We're sitting here.
All right.
I'm curious.
Well, here we go. Now we got to do the meme theme. So this week's meme theme, for those of you that aren't familiar with this one, it's the gentleman walking with his girlfriend and then looking back at another woman who looks very, very similar, I think. Like,
immediately for me, it's the lady in the back is Tempestus Scions. The lady in red is Tempestus Aquilons.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So immediately.
The lady in the back is Death Company with Power Fist and Inferno Pistols, and the lady in the red is Sanguinary Guard with spears.
Yeah.
Girlfriend is good. The GSC army rule. The other woman walking by is literally any other army rule in the game.
One in the back is Adeptus Astartes Oath of Moment. The one in the front is Veterans of the Long War Oath of Moment.
Oh, that's good. See, I just did it. I just did the exact thing that he did. That's right.
You did.
Nailed it.
That's good. This is a fantastic segment. Yeah.
Let's see. The front is Leagues of Votan, and the back is Grey Knights.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one. So just building off that, I don't want to invalidate it, but the one in the back is Grey Knights Uppy Downy. The one in the front is Necrons Uppy Downy.
Yeah, I was thinking of them like that too.
Yeah.
Simon's got a good old Vespid and new Vespid. We got Crew Detachment, Vespid Detachment.
Yes. Yeah. One in the back was my aspirations to play Spearhead. One in the front is Old World.
Man, you can do both.
Oh, well, you can do both.
I could do both.
So for me, this is me walking with my girlfriend, which is a singles event, and then the team event walks by. That's
yeah, that's a good one.
I like singles events, but team events.
Yeah, good one by Scotty D. The back one is Death Watch. The front one is any other Space Marine.
The other Space Marine, yep.
New Cody model, old Cody model.
Yeah. Yes. No. Old Cody model, new Cody model. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I had one more. I forgot it. Dang it.
Oh, it's Fuego, Adam. You got to think of it now.
Look, we broke the rules on every other topic.
It's fun.
That is our show this week, and it has been a blast. Thank y'all for tuning in live.
One in the back was Green Tide rules. One in the front of Curse Cultist.
Oh, okay.
If you are listening to this after the fact on the podcast aggregators, we do this live each and every Thursday night. Please come and hang out with us if you so choose to do. If not, listen after the fact is great. We appreciate that as well. Just want to know that it is available to come and hang out. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure talking about Warhammer and all the various other sundry things. Anytime I can bring Warhammer and hamburgers into the same hour segment of conversation, I feel like I've accomplished a lot this week.
Yeah. You didn't mention like tacos as well. Like, so
yeah, he did. He mentioned the taco truck specifically.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He did. Oh.
Yeah.
Just that bingo card full.
Yeah, full. Whoever had that Paul bingo card that just won.
Sure. We might do that with our patrons. I might work with our patrons to do a Warhammer Meta Chaser bingo card.
I like it. I like it a lot.
There we go. We'll keep your eyes peeled for the events this weekend that are happening. If you're playing in them, best of luck. If you've been impacted, if you weren't able to get there, hopefully you get into the next one. It's going to be great. See everybody next week.
See everybody.
Cheers.